welcome to Sunrise Extra on a Wednesday. Thanks for clicking on us and chatting with us. So today we are talking, my gosh, the up and down, open, close, open again, close down again. So the news is, came down late yesterday afternoon. Governor Brown said we missed it by that much. Hospitalization rates were 0.1% away from the metric that state health officials set to stay in extreme risk category. So that means all the 15 Oregon counties that went into extreme last Friday, starting this Friday, they dropped back down to high risk. And the governor said, a big headline of she does not plan now to ever have any other counties in extreme risk for the rest of the pandemic. Great news.
Yeah. People are going to remember those words,
but it's just like,
right?
oh yeah, they'll stick her to it, definitely. Yeah, so now indoor dining can reopen in those counties starting on Friday. The Thorns game, the Timbers game, they can have more than 100 fans now this weekend. We talked all yesterday about the Hillsboro Hops, who opened their season last night. Yep. And they have games, back to back through the week. They can continue to have, I think it was like 800 fans in the stands because they are in high risk in Washington County. So we're talking about that. There's also like Oregon State now has come out and saying they are requiring proof of a COVID vaccine for students and
What
staff.
was the controversy? Because I was off. I got my second COVID shot yesterday, and I really did check out of news. But what was the controversy with the Blazers?
So the Blazers have not had any fans in the stadium or in Moda Center. Right. And there's the Chicago Bulls are letting fans in for the first time starting this Friday. Yes. So they have also been with Blazers and zero fans. And Oklahoma City has said no fans for the entire season. So they don't have plans to add them in. John Canzano, our former KGW sports analyst and great Oregonian columnist, says he has information from a source down at the Capitol saying that the Blazers will be allowed 10% capacity starting Friday inside the Moda Center. It'll be for like players' families, certain season ticket holders, and they'll figure out the way that works. And he said his source, this will be announced sometime this morning.
Yeah, I don't think it was a controversy the way you phrased it.
I don't think there was a controversy.
I just think people were noting, because it came out last night with this John Canzano tweet, that there may be fans in the stands at Moda Center soon. And then people were starting to scratch their head. Hey, are they the only team in the NBA that hasn't allowed fans in the stands? Well, they're one of a few. There are 30 teams, thereabouts, maybe 31 teams in the NBA. Only 3 at this point, Brenda, have not let fans into the arena during a game, and the Blazers are one, Chicago's the other, Oklahoma City the third, and Chicago is definitely putting fans back in on Friday. So there will just be 2 for sure come Friday. We'll see if the Blazers get out of that group.
I thought that somebody was challenging something that Dane had tweeted. I guess that's
he had said that the Blazers were the only team without fans, but that turned out to be not quite
Got
true.
it.
Yeah.
One of a few, we could say.
So that would be big.
I mean, there was controversy with the Thorns, right? The Thorns, the Timbers, and the National Women's Soccer League, they were pushing for the governor to allow them to have more fans in the stands this weekend. If Multnomah County had remained in extreme risk, then the Timbers and the Thorns were only going to allow to have 100 people in that stadium, and it's a big match for the Thorns on Saturday. So the soccer league got involved saying, please, let us have 15% capacity. We can spread those people out very safely in that big stadium. And until yesterday's news, it looked like that was not going to happen, right? The governor said no.
I mean, I know we heard and we read the governor's statement on our newscast, but I would suggest the eyeball test and the ear test says that there was a lot of public outrage, is the word I'm going to use, since last week's announcement that said this is going too far, Governor. You can't close down all these restaurants again. We're hearing we're, weeks away from having, a decent number of people vaccinated, a growing number of people vaccinated. You mentioned the deal with the Thorns soccer league getting involved in.
There's a lawsuit against the governor.
Just says that public outrage won in this particular case.
You're not necessarily believing the 14.9% hospitalization rate.
Instead of 15%? Yeah.
Anybody that's older than 2 knows that politicians seldom just say I was wrong and apologize for something.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen hardly ever.
It was a quick turnaround from Friday's announcement of where things stood for 15 counties to yesterday's announcement that we're going right back. And I saw Dad yesterday. He was worried because Washington County, we all thought this time yesterday, Brenda, I know, again, you weren't here yesterday, but we thought for sure the news yesterday was going to be Washington County will join the others in that extreme risk category. Instead, it was everyone's coming back to high risk. I mentioned this to a dad yesterday. He thought I had my information wrong. He's like, no way. I said, no, that's exactly what happened. He goes, but I said, it doesn't matter what you thought. This is what they just said. We're all going back to higher risk. And, he, for one, was pretty, he was scratching his head. He was happy, but he couldn't believe it.
But it is just like, okay, a week,
Right.
Did we really need to do this for a week or... But yeah.
So we have some people weighing in on the stream. Jim Harrison says now that there is a petition to recall Kate Brown, she's starting to back off. That's his take. And then Mark says it's really confusing. Don't understand such a quick change of plans. Right. So it's like whew, whiplash.
And it used to be, up until last week, we were reevaluating every 2 weeks the hospitalization and the case rates. And then last week she said, okay, we're going to change it up and we're going to evaluate weekly. And so here it came yesterday. That was 1 week later, and they evaluated and it didn't hit 15% hospitalization rate. It was 14.9. And so under their own numbers, they didn't meet that metric to stay in extreme. So we go back to high risk. It is interesting, like we had the story today of Governor Jay Inslee, paused everything yesterday, so there's no changes in phase levels there. So that might have been a little kind of regional pressure of, we're not clamping down on restrictions just yet, but we are just staying where we are. Also, he said that sports and entertainment venues can up capacity if they make special sections for people who are fully vaccinated. You'd have to show proof of your card and wear a mask, but you wouldn't have to socially distance in the vaccinated section, and that's for pro sports and college and any other. So that's interesting. So they're definitely bringing more incentives. Joe Biden went on live TV yesterday and is upping the his wishes for herd immunity.
He wants 70% of the people vaccinated by 4th of July.
Right. And he was touting things like, we got to make a lot of incentives, like you get, extra stuff or perks from sports teams or from restaurants, and he was really calling for that in order to kind of, incentivize getting.
And that has been a point of discussion. People saying, well, if I'm getting vaccinated and I still don't get to do anything, I still have to wear my mask with other vaccinated people, what's the point?
Right. And it was, leading more people who were maybe on the fence to say, well, what good is this vaccine then if you guys are still worried about this? So
Jennifer Taft, one of our regulars on the stream, says we barely met the metric, people, so don't go out and have crazy get-togethers. Nervous about this weekend, Mother's Day and then Memorial Day, and we know how that goes. So while we are all like, yeah, we barely met the metric. Also, I'm sorry, but people being angry, it ain't over. Our hospitalization rate is still very concerning, and we only have 30% vaccination. That's Jennifer's take.
Jeannie Fonten says, or Jenny says, it's great for everyone that wants to go out to eat and go to events, but it puts a great burden on those trying to run a restaurant. There's food now to order on, such a short basis. Scheduling workers, it's not something that's easily done overnight. And Drew, I remember Lisa Schroeder of Mothers saying, you got to put those food orders in on a Monday. In order to get them in time to start prepping and chopping and figuring out menus and all that. Mother's Day is this weekend. It's a huge restaurant holiday. So I don't know if, getting an order in today is going to make it.
A lot of people were confused by the minimum versus the maximum because I think a lot of people thought, geez, how can they be switching back after just 1 week? I thought it was going to be a minimum of 3 weeks. And I was like, no, actually, it was a maximum of 3 weeks from the beginning, right? Which didn't make a whole lot of sense.
And reevaluated every week.
Reevaluated every week, a maximum of 3 weeks. But anyways, here we are 1 week after the fact, and we are going back away from extreme risk in these 15 Oregon counties, going to high risk. There are several hospitalization metrics, I want to say, guys, one of them being the percentage. The other one is just number of people in the hospital at a given time. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, 300.
300. So doesn't that...
Statewide.
300 people in the hospital. When I just bring this up because Jennifer Taft mentioned, to quote her, our hospitalization rate is still very concerning. And I'm thinking 300 hospitalized patients with COVID statewide just seems like a very small number to me.
Right.
Still, statewide. Like a number that I wouldn't, just if you just said that to me out loud, I wouldn't be concerned about that if I heard it. Unless you told me, nope, 300 is the number where we have to start shutting things down. Then I go, okay, I guess I'm concerned. But am I right in thinking that 300 seems low?
Well, out of what? What's Oregon's population?
4.2 million.
Is it
4.2 million.
Well, in terms of mathematics, you would be correct. That's a low number. Yeah. Jennifer Taft, we've given Jennifer Taft a lot of love, but she cracked me up. She said, Rod, you're looking serious. You're looking at your phone. Then she asked me if I got my shot. So we did a story. I did. And let me tell a quick story because this was on our news this morning. The fact that it's now getting easier and easier to get online, book an appointment, go get your shot without any hassle. So Monday morning, this past week, I get online about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking, and boom, there's a number of appointments at the Fred Meyer where I live up at Salmon Creek. Yep. And they actually gave which vaccines they have, and I was hoping to get the J&J. They happen to have it. Booked an appointment for 1:15 that afternoon. Showed up, the pharmacist right on cue, 1:15. I go in, very nice gentleman who has an amazing touch of an angel, by the way. I never even felt the shot. And I'm the person that goes, oh my God. The doctors haven't even done anything. You coward.
I wish
but
I could have seen that.
I didn't even feel the shot. I'm out in 5 minutes, and I was very fortunate. I never even had as much of a sore arm.
Good.
And that was back on Monday.
Yeah. I know, it's so funny because you were the last one to be prepared and yet the first one to be fully vaccinated.
Yeah, that's the way I am.
Rat.
But, and I admit, I was one of those people. It's like when we were doing the stories a month ago. I don't want to go, sit in my car in line and take 2 hours. I mean, that's just my personality.
Yeah.
Right.
But so the point of my story is it really is simple now to find probably a whole fistful of openings to get the vaccine close to where you live and go in quickly, get it done with really zero hassle.
Yeah, 100%. I went to the Oregon Convention Center. I had my shot on Monday. My daughter had hers on Tuesday. And I noticed from like 3 weeks ago that the parking lot underground at the convention center looked kind of empty. I mean, it's a big place, but it seemed like there were fewer people getting their shot.
Sure.
The first time I had a nurse, she said she'd been doing that for like 35 years. She was awesome. And then I walked up to one of the guardsmen and I thought, I wonder how long it's been since he's been given shots. And he was fantastic. I mean, they have that so dialed in. It was easy peasy.
Oh, like a National Guard person.
Yeah,
I thought you meant there was like a security guard or something.
No. The Oregon National Guard, they have everybody there, really super helpful.
What are they doing?
Excuse me, sir, where's the vaccination? I got one right here for you.
Right, Braxton.
Give me your arm, Miss Braxton.
Hey, Jeff Lucas.
But it was like without a hitch. Kudos to everybody involved.
Jeff Lucas brings up a point because I said 5 minutes. In and out. And he said, don't they keep you for 15 minutes to watch for reactions? The pharmacist did say, we'd like you to hang out for about 15 minutes for that reason.
Yeah.
You say you don't need to sit here. And then I basically checked what was on my list that day, the Fred Meyer commercials. And I did some shopping. And by the time I left the store, I think 15 minutes had gone.
Yeah. I did it at the airport and it was the best. You just drive with your window open. It takes 5 minutes. They scan your card in one tent. You drive down through some cones. They jab you in the arm. You park in a line of cars with your windows down, listen to some music for 15 minutes. They wave down the flag of all the cars and you're out of there. So it was wonderful. You don't have to park or get out or anything. It's like a party atmosphere. So if you're looking for a great spot, that's a good one too. Yeah, a good option.
Who's going to read Joshua? Drew, who's going to take Joshua?
You should take it. You found.
Want to do it?
Yes, you found that piece of gold. You deliver it.
Joshua Madrid, one of our very thoughtful regulars. He says, good morning. What a mess this past week has been. As we know, the effects of an indoor ban has a large impact up and down the restaurant supply chain. In many places, lost a good amount of income for what appears to be for a small outcome. Hopeful this shutdown actually helps some folks, and hopeful we can now continue moving forward to help our hospitality and entertainment industries recover from this past year. Joshua writes more every day in his little feed than I write.
Yeah, he's in the bar, he's in the bar and restaurant industry, and it obviously has been hit really hard. We did a story on Monday about a Gresham restaurant owner called Spud Monkeys, and they defied the order over the weekend, and she served indoors. She has a pretty devastating story just through the pandemic. She got a divorce. Her son committed suicide. She lost, she had 2 locations of that restaurant, and she was forced to close down forever, the Hollywood district location. And so now she has Gresham. She's like, I've followed all the rules and I cannot do it anymore. I will lose the rest of what I have in life, you know. And so there was a lot of emotional, you know, ties to this. So, I mean, it's good news businesses are able to open.
I'm sorry, Nina, that was the lady that we did a story on?
From Spud Monkeys, yeah, that's what her restaurant is
I didn't realize there was so much.
Yeah, she's had a pretty terrible year.
I wonder if the state could give an answer to the question if someone asked them today, hey, shutting down restaurants or moving counties, 15 counties in Oregon, back to extreme risk for 1 week, for 7 days, what did that accomplish? You know, what was accomplished by doing that? How did that benefit the state in any way, shape, or form?
I guess you just look at the percentage difference, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the case numbers to this point haven't, I guess maybe you'll have to wait a few weeks to see case numbers in a couple of weeks, because you can't base it on, you know, the case numbers from yesterday and today. Right. I'm just curious that, you know, it was a big blow to restaurants a week ago, a blow that was taken back a week later, and I'm just curious if they have an answer to the question, was that worth it?
Meaning, will we see a little downward hit that you could trace back to this past week, right? Yeah.
Would you guys, what do you think about the vaccinated only sections at sports and like concerts and stuff? And viewers, please weigh in. What do you guys think about that? The Mariners, I guess, are formulating a plan right now to have a vaccinated only section. So they're going to release more details. But I think that's kind of, I mean, whatever, you know, like if you want to go to a game and you've got your card to kind of show off, I mean, what else are you going to do with it except show it around? And you can go watch a game.
How about 50% off hot dogs for those that show their vaccination?
Something.
Always comes back
Rod,
to
you're
food.
there. I know, it's always about food.
Tyler Jakeway, real quick, says getting second dose on the 7th. It was super simple to get an appointment in Sweet Home, and he went to the Safeway.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know about the vaccinated section. I'm thinking if I'm vaccinated, I should certainly be allowed to go into the venue. Can I sit anywhere I want at that point? Could that be the option?
What if it's right behind home plate, Drew, the expensive seats?
Then that's fine.
Then you're fine with it.
I got to see where this vaccinated only section is.
Yeah.
Right?
I hear you. Yeah.
Before I agree to sit there.
That sounds too complicated to me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at a little bit. It's like, you know, I do feel if we want to get everyone vaccinated, and if that is really the road to ultimate country recovery, then making these incentives is the way to get it done.
Yep.
Making people, have to show vaccination cards for concerts and for getting on an airplane and for eating at a restaurant. Some people I know don't like the sound of that. I realize you don't like the sound of that. What I don't like the sound of is us still talking about this a year from now, because I never thought we'd be talking about it for the 14 months that we have.
Coronavirus is going to do what it's going to do. So, yeah, I think vaccination is exactly the way to put an end, or at least to curb this, because, you know, they're talking about basically it's going to be like the flu shot. Now, in that you're going to need one every year as variants change. It's going to be part of our new normal for a while. We have one comment here. I think this is a good one to end on. Shannon Thompson says, I will be so happy to go anywhere that has a vaccination area. She doesn't even need it close to home. She just wants to get the shot.
Yeah.
Let's pick one of the Hawaiian islands. Wouldn't that be? This island is for vaccinated
I like the way you're thinking.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for weighing in. We really appreciate it. It's going to be 83 degrees today. Get outside and get some fresh air. We'll see you tomorrow.